Holy Skills here, and today we're joined with Kiba and Prince. He is a golden child reticulated python. Kiba is a hypoburm. And today we're discussing Retics versus Burms, which make better pets. Yes. And we do own both. She prefers Burms. I prefer Retics. Right. So we're going to go over the... First, we're going to talk about the size, and then we're going to go on to what we've noticed the differences while owning them. So she's going to go over the Burm sizes. So the male Burms are usually around 8 to 14 feet, and the females are usually around 13 to 18 feet, but they can get up to 20 feet. And do you want to go over the Retics? Yeah. Okay. The male Retics typically get 10 to 16 feet. They can be longer depending on what they are, like the Sulawesi's. I've seen a 20-foot male Sulawesi before, and the female Retics typically get 16 to 20 feet, but can get bigger. Yeah, I've seen quite a few 23-foot Retics on Facebook. And I would just say, in general, Burms are a lot heavier than Retics, and Retics are just a lot longer. Mary's going to go over the Retics and why she prefers them, and then I'll go over the Burms and why I prefer them. So the biggest difference I've noticed are Retics are typically more active. Now, that's not 24/7. I've heard a lot of people say Retics are on the move all the time. My snakes are not. I often let my snakes out and they will sleep on my bed. I have 2 Retics and they sleep on my bed. And my other Retics, I check on my snakes every day, and if the weather's warm, I make effort to get them outside if they're actively moving and they show that they want outside. But that's, like I said, that's not 24/7. Most of the time my snakes are only active on feeding day or if they have just gone to the bathroom. Now, the next biggest difference, and I don't hear this talked about like very often, is Retics, they pee more frequently. They do. They pee a lot more than Burms. They are, I would say my Retics average 1 to 3 times, up to 3 times a week, but it's typically, you know, like not super frequently. Some of my Retics don't go often at all, like it's an every other week type thing, but Retics definitely do go more often. Now, we're going to go on to their food drive. Retics are known to have a higher food drive, but it really depends on the individual, because most of my Retics, I can just open the enclosure and they're perfectly fine, unless they have just eaten or they smell food. Whereas I do have a couple Retics that I do have to use a hook for to take them out because it's hard to get them out of that food drive. Yes, they are very good eaters. If you're looking for a snake that never misses a meal, then a Retic is definitely for you. And they also have a lot more morphs than Burms, so they come in a lot of different colors and patterns. And I also like the intimidating look that Retics have compared to the Burms. As they get bigger, they kind of remind me of dinosaurs. They have a very, like they just have like an intimidating look as they get bigger. And I like that. Okay. Now on to the con. Now, during breeding season, the males can get aggressive. Now that is not all of them, but I've heard a lot of them do. Some of them just are shruggy and let you know not to mess with them, whereas others are can be aggressive. And you have to be very careful handling them during that time. Yes. And I also want to say they do come in super dwarf and dwarf sizes. So if you want a big snake but not quite as big as the mainlands, you can get a super dwarf or dwarf reticulated python. But be careful when you're buying them, because there's a lot of people that lie. Yes, they do. Or if they tell you it's 50% dwarf, 50% mainland, it's going to be mainland size. So don't pay the extra money for it. Now, on to Burms. My favorite thing about Burms is their faces. I know Mary prefers the more intimidating look of the Retics. I prefer the cute little puppy dog face the Burms have. He's just so cute. I wish it would focus on his face better. I wish it would too. Wonder if we could. Yeah, there he is. Yes. And I think they come in a decent amount of morphs. I really like all of their morphs. I think all of the morphs are very beautiful for the Burms. They don't go to the bathroom often at all. I would say they're very low maintenance compared to the Retics.
They are.
They go like maybe every other week or even less often depending on how big they are.
And they also don't hold on as tight. Retics, they're very clingy.
Yes, and the Burms, they're very calm. They're very docile, easygoing snakes. All of my Burms are. I've not had like a really crazy one.
I do. She's still in the process of being tamed.
And if you really like the Burms, but not how big they get, then there are dwarf Burms. I've not seen any super dwarf Burms. So I'm not sure if they exist or not.
I don't think.
I know a lot of people say the Retics are smarter than the Burms, and I don't know what they're seeing because I see all of my snakes thinking, and I would say it just depends on the individual.
It does.
You know?
It does. Because there's some
Yeah.
Retics that we have, and it's like questionable, like, you know, does the elevator go all the way up to the top floor, you know?
Right.
And that goes the same for Burms. Like, I see intelligent Retics and not so intelligent Retics, and intelligent Burms and not so intelligent Burms.
And I would also say, I feel like the Burmese pythons, I feel like they're smoother. You know, they just feel like softer. I think, in my opinion.
To me,
it
they
might
are
just be
both
me.
soft.
I know, but I just think the Burms are softer. But yeah, I just really love how the Burms look. I love how low maintenance they are. I love my snakes to be more calm and docile over super active and
Well, I've
stuff
noticed,
like that.
you know, if you do have an active Retic, they're not going to stay active, especially if you get them the exercise they need. So I do think you can keep them in the same size enclosures, ideally like 8x3x2s whenever they're fully grown, the females.
Oh yeah.
And just take them out, get them some exercise.
Oh yes, and also for the food drive for the Burms, their food drive is not as high as the Retics food drive. They eat very good. Occasionally they won't eat. I think it just depends on the season. But they think before they eat. All of my Burmese pythons do. I don't
And
have
some
to,
of my Retics do.
Yeah, I don't have to use a hook for my Burmese pythons, which I'm sure people are like, you know, you should tap train your Burmese. All of my Burmese are, I would say they're trained. They hear me talking to them and then they go out of food mode and they let me pick them up. And they know that it's their time to come out and say hi to everyone.
Yeah, the longer
So-
you have your snakes, they all have different personalities. Like I said, most of my Retics, I just open the enclosure. I don't have to tap them with a hook. They know that they're not eating that day and they just come right out. Whereas there's a couple that just have a super high food drive and that's okay. It's just, you will learn as your snake gets older and
Would you say there's like a difference in taming them?
In taming them, I've noticed that Burms, actually, okay, yes, baby Burms are super fast. And even the older Burms, like we have a 2-year-old Burmese python that we're taming and she's fast.
Yeah,
She's really fast.
You would never know. Like, it's crazy how fast that Burmese pythons can move.
Yeah, and they're hard to hold on to.
Yeah.
Whereas my Retics, I've noticed taming the babies, I take them out with a hook, and these are nippy babies. And I put them in my hand, and then they just cling there and like kind of, you know, and maybe strike a couple times,
Yeah.
and then it's okay.
Yeah.
But the Burms, I feel like in my own experience, it has been more challenging to tame the Burms.
For me, I would say, a more rewarding experience taming my Burmese over my Retics, because with my Retics I had to use a hook. I had a couple that would musk or, you know, maybe strike a couple times, while my Burms, I have been bit a couple times, but they have never bit me more than once. And I did more of a building trust with my Burmese pythons. I would just stick my hand in there and let them smell me, and then...
And these are babies.
These are babies.
Don't do that with a big one if you adopt a big one.
Don't do that with a big one. Who is he?
For
Trying to
Prince, he was a very spicy baby. And since we work from home, I would just hold him while I'm working and stuff. And since he's a baby, like, I'm not really scared of being bit by a little tiny baby snake. And he would just work with me until he just built up his confidence and wasn't scared anymore.
I will say with the Burms, they're very scared of phones. Like, I don't know what it is. Phones and cameras, they're very scared, and you have to build their confidence around those things if you didn't want to take pictures of them. But other than that, I think Burms make the best pet snake, in my opinion.
And
my own
me,
personal
I like my
preference.
Retics. Oftentimes, when I take my smaller ones out, so I consider Prince a smaller one, they will just get to the point where they just lay their head on top of my head while I walk around like Cabela's or whatever. For those of you that don't know, Cabela's does allow you to bring in animals, or at least ours does.
Yeah.
And we've brought our snakes in there quite a few times and made a couple YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And we will be making more in the summer. So that's exciting.
For my retics, I just wanted to go over, like, maybe I just haven't owned the right retic, and maybe that's why I prefer Burmese pythons more. My one retic, he bites at random, and I think it's due to sight problems because he's albino. And
he's our only unpredictable reticulated python.
He's the only one. And then my other one, every time I take her out, she just has to pee. And it's not even musking. She just has to pee every time I take her out.
Yes, I also have a retic like that.
My third retic, I only have 3. He is like a Burmese python, but in retic form, and he's my favorite. And he's so perfect. And like I take him out with a hook because like his food drive is higher, but other than that, he acts just like my Burmese pythons, and I love him so much.
Yes. My one retic, like she said, she has one in it, just waits until you take it out to use the bathroom. I do have one like that, but after she is gone, like, she will not go anymore. So I just wait until she pees before I take her out.
And I want to say, none of my Burmese pythons have went to the bathroom on me. None of them. And like I said, I was bit in the taming process with 2 of my Burmese pythons, but they have never bit me since then. And like I said, again, they don't pee or musk on me, ever.
And I also want to say, it is good practice to wait till your retics use a bathroom before you take them out.
Yeah.
But also, if you've never owned snakes, I do want to say snake pee smells so bad.
It does.
It does.
Musking is even worse.
Musking is awful.
Yeah.
It smells so bad.
It does.
I just want to forewarn you guys because that was like a big shock to me when we started getting into snakes, owning snakes. Like even ball pythons, like it smells really bad. Just snake pee, snake poop in general, it stinks really bad. And just a forewarning for you guys.
Yeah.
It is something that I do feel like you start getting, I don't want to say nose blind, but like it doesn't smell that bad the more you own them.
Right.
Like you build up a tolerance. If you're like if you have a really sensitive like sense of smell, like
we did too. So
yeah. And now I'm fine. Like I don't need a mask. You can always use a mask if it does bother you, but that's just something to be aware of.
But yeah, and just randomly, just to add this in, my one retic that acts like a Burm, who has never bit me or musked on me or peed on me, he's actually our mascot. So if you wanted to know what he looks like,
yeah, he is our
picture.
Yeah, our picture
of police scales.
And we do have a video of him up too on our YouTube shorts.
He's beautiful. He's a normal het albino, so he got like the silvery eyes.
He's so really pretty.
So cute. Very stone's going.
It is.
But yeah.
That pretty much wraps up today's video, guys. And we hope you all have a
blessed week.
And
thank you guys for watching.
Let us know your favorite snake in the comments below.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.